Okay. And we are off. All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode. I don't know what we're going to call it of What's the Solution? This is your girl, Molly Ferdinand. If you're new around here, throwing her hat in the ring, and we're going to try to create a little bit of discussion around what some of the things that are going on in the world. This being the first episode, though, I've got a little bit of ground to cover with you before we jump into chatting about the state of the world, breaking that down a little bit and talking about what we can kind of do. Um, before I say a word, everything is for entertainment purposes only. Everything is alleged and just my opinion. It's just to provoke a little bit of conversation. And yeah, so a little bit about me and why I'm doing this to begin with. My whole life, with everything that I've ever done, whether I was a coach, a health instructor, a partner, an artist, a step parent, it didn't matter what I was doing. I'm always trying to empower you. And the way that I do that is by telling you everything I know so that you can make the most informed decision. I feel like that's maybe what this world is lacking a little bit. So I just want to be a voice in all of this that hopefully can guide some people to some better decision making for the sake of this country. How about that? Why do I think I have the solutions? I will never make any kind of claim that I do 100% have the solutions. What I will tell you is that I've been obsessed with solving the problems of the world my entire life. I'm not sure where that really comes from, but I am like an indigo child, if you want to. I was just born seeing things, knowing things, sensing and feeling things, and I always listen to my intuition. I've had pattern recognition since as long as I can remember. Um, if my mom had something to hide from me, I would instinctively just find it. I just, I'm not sure. If I didn't like a person, I wouldn't make eye contact. I wouldn't look at them. Um, and I've been obsessed with the number 42 my whole life. And I just more recently discovered what 42 actually means. If you look it up, it means seeker of the answers of the universe. And I went, well, yeah, that makes sense. Now, do I have all the answers? Obviously not. But I have found some, and I have a way with words that I'm gonna use to try and share some of this with you. Because this has all given me just a very unique perspective that I don't think other people often share. I know some people do, but not everybody is obsessed with understanding things quite the way I am. And it used to be a detriment, and now it's like I see it as a strength. I know how to have boundaries with it because we can all get a little bit too upset about what's going on in the world. Um, and if you're new around here, I do write books and write songs. I am an artist from the East Coast, and all I am ever trying to do is shift the perspective. And it's all well and good to write books and songs, but we're all running out of time and money here. Like, this video format for me is, to be honest, I woke up on Friday or Saturday morning and I don't even think I was awake yet. And I started creating this show. I committed to this time on this day, and I just told myself I would figure it out in the in between. So here we are. The first one's obviously just going to be a little bit of a pilot, but I just wanted to share with you all what my intentions were around here as we do this. Because yeah, like I said, I'm going to probably do this once a week, I would say. We'll see how Monday nights go. Um, but I am a fixer and a healer, and whether my life of adversity created that in me or I was destined to be that way, I think probably it was a combination of the two. But I'm just here to try and make the world a little bit better before I'm out, because this life is not everything, and we got to remember that. Hopefully, I'll be rewarded for trying to do some good, but if I never am in this world, I know that I will be good with myself and my higher power, and that is worth all the peace in the world. And I just let that be my compass all the time, and I feel like I can't fail if that's really my intentions. If you saw my previous video about talking to you fellas, trying to empower you men a little bit to stand up for yourselves, because she's not actually that scary. I want to quickly demonstrate why that's relevant to the state of the world, because it kind of is. So in politics, obviously you have left and right. You also have two hemispheres of your body, the left side being the feminine and the right side being the masculine. Government isn't different. Look at the traits that represent the masculine. It's the self-reliant, it's the hardworking, it's the protect, provide, the physical, tangible. The left side, the nurturer, the social programs, the emotional, the artist, the spiritual, and the unseen. The right side uses brute force against their enemy, and the left uses emotional tactics. Sound familiar? The toxic female is running the world right now. That's all I have to say. The left has become this power-hungry, what I say goes because I'm the boss and I'll do as I please to keep control over everyone, entitled little monsters. That goes for Mark Carney and some of y'all's baby mamas out there. Now, keep this commonality in your mind as we kind of go through this. So let's take a hard look at Canada for a second and where we're at. We've got Mark Carney, who is an unelected official. Nobody ever cast a vote for this man anywhere. He just popped up and that was our choice that we were given. He's an Irish citizen, and most of his assets are in the States. He's part of the globalist elites trying to implement New World Order. You saw his wife on stage this week touting that message, the New World Order. She was on Epstein's list more than he was, just for the record. New World Order is another it's another word for Hunger Games, okay? Now the movie portrayed an extreme version, which who knows how long it would take to get to that point, but it was trying to tell you something. And I want to look at who is keeping this party in power. Who are the voters for the Liberal Party? We've got our baby boomers, our older folks that are still on cable TV and listening to the mainstream media, and they ate up the Trump race and gender propaganda. You have middle-aged women who often have kids in schools that are going through the indoctrination heavily, but also they kind of pander to the sympathy of the pride community quite a bit. And don't come for me, I have a brother who is trans, so I speak very soft-heartedly and compassionately about this, but I still have my own views. And then you have the people who are profiting and participating in the corruption. And those are the three groups that are really upholding the corruption at the minute. The first two think that they're doing something righteous and noble, and are also a little bit too comfortable to educate themselves. Now, the liberals have done nothing but impose tax on everything, disguised as helping the climate. The cost of food and living has skyrocketed. They've imposed huge violations on people's rights, disguised as protecting the public and children. Let's not even get started. This whole concept of banning kids from social media, I'm not saying that your kids should be on social media, but the government's not doing it to protect your kids. If they were, they would have banned Roblox a long time ago, for one. So they're doing it in the guise of protecting the public and your kids while letting criminals come into the country, roam free, minimal sentences for the sake of compassion for the criminal who made a conscious choice to break the law. And that's where we're at. But there's no compassion for you or for your kids or for them going to school. And I think that's what everybody's trying to say. So all of these bills are being passed, like nobody even got to debate them in the House of Commons with Bill C-22. They are about to go on vacation and they need everything implemented for when they come back, because they are going to be trying to implement digital ID. But these bills are the bills that need to be in place before they can do the mass surveillance, or before they can do Bill C-22 for mass surveillance. The other thing that they're rushing like crazy is these AI data centers. And I just want to highlight for a moment, this is a total side note. Right now, AI is free for you to educate yourself in whatever way you want to. And in the, like, I don't know, just the year that it's been out, it's been information overload, and I don't think people can even keep up with the amount of dots that AI has connected and what we're understanding and uncovering. Like, it's just, it's overwhelming. But these data centers really are being built for mass surveillance. They're not here to protect anybody. They're not here to help anybody. Nobody has a say, and nobody can give a good explanation for why it helps humanity. It doesn't. It's for mass surveillance. That's it. That's all. So anyway, if you watch what's happening in the UK, that is your crystal ball for what is about to happen in Canada if we continue down this path with Mark Carney. This is what he's involved with. This is what they're trying to implement in all the Commonwealth countries. The Democrats were trying to do it in the States. If Kamala Harris had gotten in, it would have been game over for all of us. And why? For total control. For total control. Chaos creates a need for control and government intervention. That's why they are creating chaos. That's why they don't care that people are homeless and starving and drug addicted. They are feeding the problem constantly. So now, because of everything that they're allowing, all of the systems are collapsing too. Healthcare, you're better off buying an apothecary book while you still can. Unless you have trauma or your arm's falling off, there's no need for you to go to the hospital because they don't know anything. They do, but you know what I'm saying. They know nothing about the building blocks of health on purpose, aka food. So they just know how to prescribe. We've been on this planet for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and never had Rockefeller Rothschild medicine, and we did just fine. So tell me, why is our life expectancy lower? And why do doctors know nothing about herbs and spices in foods? That's just criminal. That's just like, that is the thread that you pull on the entire matrix. That cracked reality for me. Just wondering why all the time. Schools are just a cesspool of ideologies. But what's the answer? Smaller schools would be the answers. Moms taking turns with groups of kids in smaller ways, which is not always really an option. But I do have firsthand experience with people who have done this. A lot of people, when COVID kicked off, left Toronto and came to rural Nova Scotia, and they're all homeschooling, and they all got chickens and goats, and they grow their own food, and it's really lovely to see. It's quiet little pockets of Nova Scotia, and it's very, very doable. And the same can be said for our farms. Just mass production of the food the way it is, and just how questionable it is. I don't even eat meat, and I feel bad for meat eaters. I'm like, I don't know how you even know what you're eating anymore. So small farms, small schools, small government, really. And I don't know how you actually implement that, but nonetheless, it is the answer to a lot. It's just school systems are just collapsing. When I left Windsor and headed to Calgary, it was right as the teacher strike kicked off. So I found myself like always in the hot spots of what was happening across this country somehow. And I have a niece who's right in the middle of it in middle school, and her and I would hang out, and she'd tell me about different things, why there's so many problems within the school, and how they're kind of talking to them. And then Alberta schools got in trouble for trying to make things political. I did sign the separation memorandum. I have no problem saying that. I'll say that proudly because I do understand what Alberta was doing, in the sense that they're standing up for themselves because they're supporting the damn country, and nobody's acknowledging that they're supporting everybody else. And then they think that they can dictate how Alberta gets to do everything and make life impossible, ever since Harper's gotten out and Trudeau came in. So I stand with Alberta, but I would like to see a united Canada more than I'd like to see Alberta separate. But if it means that to get away from this crazy government, then I understand. Just like I understand Stellantis leaving, just why I understand everybody leaving. I'm trying to leave. We're all trying to leave. This is becoming a third world country right in front of our eyes in different pockets. It's crazy to think that these are even our problems, but here we are. Uh, And they also, like, part of the reason that they want to ban your kids from social media is because kids are now waking up at a younger age. They're not easily indoctrinated anymore because they have the exposure to all this information too. We're understanding that everything that we were looking at is completely backwards. So, pedo elites run the world and have absolutely no interest in protecting your kids. They let pedos out on bail and barely prosecute them. In fact, the left just recently lowered the sentence for child abusers. That was real. That really just happened. I didn't fact check me all day long. I really want you to question me. I want you to ask questions. I want you to question your own opinions even. Like I said, I'm not saying our kids shouldn't be on social media, but like the government is not looking out for your kids just like that. So just like your baby mama makes claims that everything she does and says is in the best interest of the child, doesn't make it so. Just because your government says it's doing something for a certain reason does not make it so. I'm not sure why this is so tough for all of us to wrap our heads around, but they're lying. They're lying. They're just saying things. Just like Erica is the widow. She's the widow on purpose, unfortunately. And they make you feel like a monster for questioning anything, questioning your own eyes, questioning facts right in front of you. But what's the dang solution? So really, because I said that I was going to focus on the solution. That was a lot of like problem focusing right there. And I know, but we had to get the big elephant in the room out of the way, I feel like. And I feel like at the moment, that is obviously what I'm most passionate about. And I really want people to kind of understand where I'm coming from. Like, I know I get a little bit vicious sometimes, or a little too in your face, but when you understand what I'm fighting, what we're all up against, what I feel like I'm fighting, you will understand why I did it so loud. If you already see the writing on the wall, great, thanks. I'm glad you're on the right side. But for those of you who are not quite there, just hang on. At the minute, information is power. Truth is power, but truth has to be your moral compass, no matter what that means to your fictitious side. I am one of the rare Canadians who supported Trump. I could see his intent, especially by who he placed in positions of power. They were all yelling, "Drain the swamps" as well. So, but I could also see the blackmail game play out right in front of our eyes if you were watching close enough. I was disheartened by what I saw. Obviously, I don't like what's going on in the Middle East or anything, and but I always say this one thing: if the only thing that Trump did was give RFK Jr. a position of power to do something good in this world, I think all of my support would have been worth it no matter what for that one move. I just thought that was the classiest, greatest thing that he did for humanity, knowing what RFK Jr. has stood for his entire life. Regardless of his last name, he's on our side. With with everything that's happened in Candace Owens' last episode, this is what I really believe about what's going on and what's really running the world, in more so in the States, but what's happening in the States does affect us. I really feel like Charlie had to die for the devil to expose himself so that Candace Owens could drive the sword straight through him by the power of God. What Candace Owens' investigations show us are not just the names and faces of these investigations. She's showing you the entire system. She's showing you the connections. She's showing you the MOs, everything. If you're dismissive of what she's doing, it means you have not taken the time to understand what she's actually saying, and you are taking your opinions from snippets of sound bites and people paid to make you think that way about her and to be dismissive of what she's saying. Never once will any of those influencers dissect anything that she actually has to say, point for point. Once in a while, they can kind of catch her on like a grammatical error or like an error on like just a minor detail. They never acknowledge any of the accusations or any of the things that the evidence is leading to. But if she got a date wrong or a time wrong, then just like the media, you take a fraction of anything that you can find, whether it be 1% of reality or not, and then you build a mountain on that 1%. You ignore the 99% of reality, and you say that 1% loud enough and on repeat enough that unfortunately the masses take it in and take on that opinion without questioning it, and it's really sad. Um, if you're still on the fence, though, when it comes to our Canadian politics, if you're still on the fence, I just want to draw your attention to what isn't happening, what isn't being discussed, where the money isn't going, in stark contrast to where it is going, and compare that to our current state of affairs. I'm personally insulted when I see somebody hand over our hard-earned money by the millions and billions to foreign countries for the sake of keeping a war going so that they can feed the military operation, or to join forces with the globalists to implement different things, and for Mark Carney to line his pockets through Brookfield. He has traveled all over this globe on your dime, spent $192,000 of your money on 3 in-flight services, and has not lowered a single tariff anywhere, but he has sure done some deals for Brookfield. He sure has. He's done lots of them. And if you don't know about them, it's because you don't know on purpose. And I really strongly encourage you to go spend a little time on the offshoots. Like I said, I'm gonna link who I follow. Or I think it might even be public, like who I follow on YouTube, and I live on YouTube. So definitely Moose on the Loose. He's great for recapping everything that happens in Parliament, out in the streets, what CBC and the mainstream media are saying about it, and how absolutely ridiculous they sound trying to portray things the way that they do. Moose on the Loose is probably my favorite. When it comes to what I need to know, like what things are like sounding the alarm, I kind of rely on Mariel for the North, who I got the pleasure of meeting in Calgary, which I thought was really amazing. He's freaking just a gem of a human being that really just wants to be in the fight and is doing an amazing job at waking people up to what's going on. I certainly appreciate his content. So, yeah. But throughout my years of wrestling with the problems of the world, one concept, like I said, that pulled the thread on everything is just, how can a doctor not know anything about food? That's what makes up our bodies. And anyway, and so that woke me up to the matrix of sorts. I don't know how much of it is digital coding, but it's definitely a matrix by design that we've just been indoctrinated into. We were born into it. Our parents were accepting it because it just morphs over time. It's no one's fault, but then it grows into this bigger evil thing. Obviously, there was an agenda we weren't aware of. But it's much more spiritual than they would allow you to believe, or they would like you to believe. Um, but on an everyday level, these people own the schools, they own the curriculum, they own the politicians, they own the medicine, they own the textbooks, they own the technology, they own the banks, they own beyond everything. Even your hair products. They got a hand in everything. They're the three big Vanguard, BlackRock, and I don't know the other one. I'm not great at remembering those details in that way. But that's quite a powerful force. So like how do you break away from that? What do you do? How do you stand up to that? That's a great question. The extreme end is we all switch to Bitcoin, create new systems, new governments, and different rules. We become self-reliant, and our schools and our farms become smaller and more local. We reject technology completely and don't allow them to build these data centers because ultimately they're just going to destroy Gaia. I don't know if Gaia will allow that. I think that maybe that's what these earthquakes might be about, because she will rise up. The only hope we have of restoration of the current system is someone like Polyev actually getting in there um, and holding true to what he campaigned on. What we're seeing in our southern neighbors, though, it does make you wonder whether any politician is capable of standing up to this bigger conglomerate that is running this other nefarious agenda. You would like to hope. My hope isn't completely gone in Trump, to be totally honest. There is opportunity for course correction. I haven't been a big critic. I've just been sitting back and kind of watching because it's bigger than him, and I've known that all along. But is it bigger than all of them that they can't do anything? Like, can we have some kind of civilization where we have a quality of life again without being told that it has to be like 10 years in the future and through some 20 levels of bureaucracy? It's it's crazy. It's just crazy. I, as a Canadian citizen, through all this, have felt like a child in a terrible custody battle. That's what I feel like. And the primary caregiver is doing no such thing. There is no care being given, only to the caregiver themselves, which often is the case. They're just self absorbed, trying to figure out how they can profit the most. I sat there and listened to Kevin Leary talk about his data centers, and and after Tucker pushed him far enough, he was like, I want to leave a legacy. I want to be a winner. I want to do this. He just said, I, like 20 times right in front of our faces. No one batted an eye. I thought it was crazy. I was like, that's it. You're just so self-obsessed, so self-absorbed, and so like just, oh, that you couldn't even fathom to think about somebody else. And that's the real problem. So many Canadians are struggling, starving, being dismissed and handed drugs and made. And even the drug dealers are saying, why are we doing this? And there's some people trying to fight for us, but that nasty, manipulative, toxic female, she's still running the show. Gaining your sympathy, telling you it's your fault, breaking you down. You will have to make sacrifices. You will have to pay for the renovation. You will have to pay the $192,000 in his in-flight services. Meanwhile, he'll give you a couple $100 of your own money back to help offset the groceries one time. But his $192,000 in-flight service from 3 flights, that could have fed 5 families for a year, was it? I can't remember the statistic that was going around. During the convoys, I stood on those overpasses, and I never felt more proud to be Canadian. And when we wake up to what we're really up against, you'll understand why, like I said. But if convoys and cancel culture taught you anything, it should be that together we can do away with anything. We are the true power. They convinced you that you were powerless because they know that you are the true power. They know that they exist for us. They've just fed you a lie long enough. All we have to do is get on board with the same things. And personally, I really do think that the stay-at-home convoy is a great idea. I'm sticking with that one. I don't know if you heard me say that in the previous video, but I really genuinely think that if we just got all truckers to stand down for as long as it takes, they can't martial law us. It was Mark Carney's recommendation to invoke martial law on the peaceful protesters. Let's not forget that. Anyways, so how long have I been rambling? Oh, half hour. Man. Now, I do genuinely want to hear your thoughts, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this afterwards. I want this to be a space where even if you disagree with me, great. I want to hear from you. Genuinely, I want to hear from you, but I want you to come with solutions. Don't just use this as some kind of like hate on thing, pick apart what I'm saying. No. If you're going to contend what I'm saying, please come with solutions. I cannot wait to hear your suggestions. I look forward more to the negative comments, maybe, because that's where we have something to learn, and that's the approach you have to take. Charlie taught us that. It's okay to be uncomfortable, folks. It's not, you don't have to be at a level of anger and hatred to disagree or to have uncomfortable conversations. And I hope that I can be a walking example of that. I hope maybe we can create a little bit of a space around here, a community where we can have that open dialogue. But yeah, so comment down below. I think next Monday I'm going to do a hard deep dive on health and wellness all around. Like I said, I am a personal trainer, nutritionist, yoga instructor. I've studied human body biology, environmental chemistry, psychology in university, and I have just spent so much time trying to understand my own self, which is a full-time job, and also just educating myself all around because it's obviously something I'm quite passionate about. Anything to do with the human experience is just like, it just thrills me for some reason. Anyway, and I have a wealth of knowledge to share with people, and we have been too focused on just calories and what that means. So yeah, I think I have a awful lot to offer the subject, and I can't wait to empower you with all of my knowledge. And I hope that you have found this a little bit interesting at the very least, maybe just a fresh perspective or a little bit of a breakdown as to all the chaos that's going on in the world. If you haven't taken the time, I'm going to link some rabbit holes in the description after I close out of here. But I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been really fun. And I can't wait to do this with y'all next week.